Isolation brew day. I'm going to do this all on my phone because I can't be bothered to find my camera and stuff. But yeah, we're going to use some of my new brew kit. I'm going to do the bottling of a previous beer so that the whole process is on camera. So yeah, let's get cracking. Firstly, a brief tour of the slightly upgraded brewery. I've got my barrel, which is going to be full of Maris Otter, which is going to be my base malts from here on out when the shop gets it back in. Tables, that's normal cupboard. That's my what is now a conditioning cupboard rather than my fermentation chamber, because I've got my fermenter there, which is nicely wrapped up in some some insulation whilst it's been making my milk chocolate stout. I've got all of this stuff which I'm going to be bottling now. My new table, the counterflow water chiller, which I've been working on. I'm quite proud of that actually. Pulled all this apart and made these stands so that it's got the dual pumps which circulate one way and cold water the other. And then all my other brewing stuff. The other new kit is my malt miller, which when I get the Maris Otter, I'll be freshly milling all my malts and stuff, which will be great from here on out. And today's brew is what they've called Voodoo, but I'm just calling it Isolation, and it's a what is it? Cherry wood smoked and roasted malts meet spicy chipotle peppers for a complex but balanced beer. So I've got a dry hop with chipotle pepper in there, which is going to be different. So bottling, yay! Fun stuff. We're going to be using this stuff to bottle it. So thankfully this one I don't need to clean because it's one sent to me by Rosie. Thank you very much. So it's already clean and ready to go. Fuck is that? Oh, it's a label. And then all of these bottles in here and those two kegs should bottle the 23 litres if I've done vague maths right, hopefully. So cleaning time, yay! Pump it. Pump it real good. Oh, I'm breaking stuff now. So, this is the cleaning process for all the bottles. I'm not going to make you sit through this. Okay, so this is my newish conical fermenter. First time I've used it, learning out a few of the kinks and things. But one of the good things about a conical fermenter, take off my bottling thing, is that you can drain off trub from the bottom and problem holding phone. You can drain off trub from the bottom, so I'll put it through there. There we go. And I did this a couple of days ago. There shouldn't be too much in there. That's open. Oh, slowly. So this is the stuff from the bottom of the fermenter. So having it on a conical should mean that the beer is a bit clearer because less of this will come out through into the bottles. So this is yeast poops, and more than not it's dead yeast coming out from the bottom of the conical, which you can't really see because of the light. But pretty lovely, isn't it? Eh? So this is what I've got to clean up every freaking time. Lovely jubbly. So I will drain this off as much as will come out. Then I'll get the bottling thing back on and we will start bottling. So immediately before bottling, you should take a final gravity reading, which will tell you what the ABV is of the beer. This one's a little bit higher than anticipated. I think the yeast got a bit lazy, or there wasn't quite enough of it, or I don't know, maybe something went wrong when I pitched it, but it'll be about 3.84%, I think. I'm just going to let that hydrometer settle and then I'll work it out in a bit. Okay, so another new gadget for me today is this bottle filler, which my sister got me for my birthday in theory. So it's connected up to my, what's that, fermenter. And then all of these are the clean bottles that I did earlier, so I should be able to just go Oh, no, lift. Push down. Right, so the bottle's filling. Ooh, hang on. We have a problem. That's ready. I very nearly forgot the priming sugar, which would have been somewhat problematic. But the fact that I don't want kilograms, I want grams. Ounces, pounds, grams, there we go. So I need 70 grams. Putting it in boiling water to sort out the any bugs that might be on the sugar. And I gotta dissolve it. I might go a bit less. I'm gonna go 65 because I don't think I want it to be at all bubbly, and I often overcarb, I think, something. So we'll go 65. It said 72 grams with what I was doing, but we'll leave it at that. Okay, so the main reason I want to get corny kegs, which, you know, 10 litre kegs to set up and stuff, is because bottling is a fucking chore. But I mean, it's a lot quicker now that I've got this, which my sister bought me. But still, imagine if I did 23 litres. I prefer using 330 bottles than using bottles because that's the size I prefer drinking from. But even if I was using just 500 mils, that's 46 bottles of this. To clean, recycle, stick labels on, put caps on. You know, it's just a fucking ball ache, really. Oh, and that one, when you've got different sizes, you've got to adjust the fucking thing. God damn it. And also, all these caps, sterile, you know, gotta think about that. Gotta keep the beer clean, bean clear. I'm going slightly insane. Okay, so behind me you can see my instruction leaflet and the nifty holder that I use to hold my instructions. After today we will be doing own brews. Well, there's one more to go, the 13 weasels I can brew again, so I'll do that at some point, but I plan on making my own recipes after today. But today we have 3 kilograms of Maris Otter with 750 grams of cherry smoked malt, 500 grams Munich malt, 380 grams chocolate malt, 220 grams crystal, and 160 grams midnight wheat, 133 grams black wheat. So it's quite an interesting concoction that we have today. Yeast Kent Goldings, I think this is Magnum, yep, Magnum, and chipotle pepper, which we've got to dry hop until the desired heat is reached. Aces. Right, I'll add them into the mash tun. Good job. So this is ticking along nicely. There, as you can see, I've actually added a lot more water than I normally do to this. Normally that would be looking a little bit lower. Can you see it's like there's quite a high whirlpool before the actual hole. Oh shit, my camera work is dreadful. There. But never mind. What I'm trying to do is be a bit more chill when I brew, rather than sticking too much and worrying about every little detail. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I'm going to sanitize my cooler by running some sanitizing fluid through it. So what I did is I made this nifty little bugger. So I just put one of my old fermenter taps on it, on a screen wash bottle, because that's 5 litres and you mix up 10 ml of the sanitizer with 5 litres. So it makes it nice and easy for me to just mix the sanitizer, and also because it's got the tap on, I can connect the other stuff to it to run sanitizer through, and I can take off little bits of sanitizer nice and easy to fill my sprayer. So as everything gets sanitized, I can just use that and bin it when I need to. It's good. Good. It's cleaning. So in there, in that, out that, round, out of that, up and down. Clean with a winter screen wash. Okay, so I admit I kind of forgot to make some clips. But we have been boiling now for a while. Another new addition to my brewery is the rather loud extractor fan, and that's why we replaced that for the one in the kitchen. Loud as fuck. One of the problems with it, I'm not sure if you can see there, the amount of condensation that builds up, it drips back in. Not too much of a problem with it when it's boiling, but I did have to do some rather severe cleaning on that mesh bit because it was filthy and covered in grease, so I didn't want that tripping into the beer. So I so cleaned that, chucked in some Magnum hops right at the start of the boil. So if hops at the start of the boil adds, dismiss my timer. Hops at the start of the boil makes for bittering. The later the hop you add, the more the aroma you add rather than the bittering. So this one has a load more hops to go. 10 minutes left, and it's getting some other hops. Which ones are they? Goldings, I think. Then right at the end it gets a little bit more just as it's cooling down. So I've got my my hop sausages in the tights. Yeah, it is Goldings. So yeah, that's that. I drained it. We use this for the sparge water, and what I've started doing now is when I heat the sparge water, which is at 70 degrees, I then, whatever's left in, or I refill it if there's nothing left, and whack it up to 100 so that I've got some good sterilising water, so that when I use the spoon or any other bits later, I can just dip it in there so that it's nice and clean for later on. So another 3 minutes and I'll start I'll whack the rest of the hops in and then start the cooling process. All good. Right then, I think I'm holding the phone the other way, so the camera's down there instead of up there now. But so boil's finished. In goes the last hop addition. Use my spoon. Fucking brilliant purchase. My mother got me this for one of my birthday presents. Oop, bad cameraing. I apologise for the camera skills today. They've been absolutely dreadful, but if I'm honest, I've not been paying that much attention, and I'm not that bothered. So that goes in. Because of the restrictions on purchasing, I was only allowed to get a couple bags of ice. So I would opt to use just my counterflow to cool this down. However, shit, that's leaking. Alright, I'll take that off. Because the, so I haven't got enough ice to cool all of this down. So I'm going to use my immersion chiller as well, which is that. So I'll use that to get it down to about, I don't know, 60, and then use my counterflow. I'm just going to stop the leak and I'll be right back. And back to the camera being up there. So I know why it was leaking. It's because I took the washer out to use for something else and forgot. So no longer leaking. That's in there cooling. What we'll see now is that the temp is dropping quite quickly, which is good. So I figure the worst bit when you're trying to cool down is towards the end, when you're trying to get it down to about 20 degrees for the yeast, and that's the bit that just takes ages. So to save the ice that I have got, I'll use it later when, you know, what is it, thermodynamics type stuff, when the water differential between hot and cold, at the minute it will cool down quickly with just the groundwater flowing through the immersion chiller, and then to get it down further, get colder water so that it has more of an impact on the cooling. There you go, boring geeky bit done. I will just show you the water chiller, or the counterflow chiller, when it gets going, because that's the bit I've had fun doing. Okay, so I had to pause because I had to go pick up Killian, who is now inside watching a bit of Pepper whilst I finish all this. Making a whirlpool, been doing so for about 30 seconds to get enough oxygen into the wort for the yeast to nom on when it starts. Did the last hop addition, then so that the aroma hops could get in. The rest of the additions are as dry hops. We sanitized the wort chiller earlier, and I'm going to connect it up. Okay, so we've got it going. We've got beer coming out of here. As you can see, it goes into the wort chiller there, and out into my fermentation vessel here. That foam on the top is sanitizing bubbles, which are fine within the beer. Obviously we don't want too much of it, but it's fine. We've then got cold water coming down here to circulate in a different direction around the chiller. Back up here, which circulates in my bucket, which has ice in it. All in the hope that by the time it comes through into the fermenter, it is about 20 degrees. At the minute, it's a lot warmer. But I did start the circulation before adding the ice because I was in a bit of a rush and I've been a bit put off by Killian being inside and things like that. So not really paying attention. But never mind. I'll try and slow down the flow a bit so that it cools it down more. But then worst comes to worst, the top of my fermenter has a chiller in it. So that's how one of the ways that I'm going to maintain the temperature of the fermenting. In the future I'm going to get controlled water going through that, so temp controlled water to circulate through that adult during the whole fermentation process, so that it's about 18 degrees as it circulates and keeps the beer at that temperature. Who needs a fermentation chamber when you've got that? And it would seem, no, don't splash it! It would seem I've acquired a helper. Gillian, are you being helpful? Gillian?
How do we put it into there?
We don't put it in there.
Right.
Right, hold the pipe again. I need to stop this video. Hold it there. Hold it steady. Oh, then spray it out. Okay, so we're getting to the last stages of the brew. We're nearly finished making our beer, Killian. Yeah, so we've got to pitch this yeast now. Yeah, and we've got to get the pitch at between 12 and 25. Shall we show you your socks? Look at how wet they are. Should we take them off?
I can take them off as a special way.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
Just like that?
Yeah.
Cool. Are we going to go in the paddling pool?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so pitch between 12 and 25, ideally between 15 and 20. And the yeast, you can't see that, it's on reverse. It is now at 24 degrees, so I've got my Inkbird temperature controller jobby. And that's gone into the yeast, into the wort. So I'm going to let that chill for a little bit longer. I'm going to use the hose to do that. Killy, we won't be able to fill up the paddling pool just yet.
Yeah.
Oh God, thank goodness that wasn't you plugging in the hose to the proper one. You just plugged that in there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the out, thankfully. Rightio, see you later. Day after, maybe I forgot to do some stuff, wearing my nice dressing gown, but I thought I'd show you the... So, yeast is pitched, it's cool, chilling, I'm not sure if you can see because it's flashing, but it's at 17.5 degrees, so I've got that set at 18 with a half degree, it can get colder, and a degree it can get hotter before the cooler or the heater turns on. I've only got the heater plugged into it, that plug there, because it's not going to get above 18 degrees in here. Without the heater going nuts. I've got the heat-proof thing wrapped around it to keep it nice and snug. And you can see that is my airlock that Base got me, which is the last place is called his fault. And you can see the bubbles means the lights means that it's breathing, as it were. So I'll click an image of what that's doing now and add it to the video. But I can't be bothered to wait for the fermentation to start before I upload the video, so I'm just going to do that now before the bubbles get going. It's only been in since last night, so we wouldn't expect any fermentation to be kicking off just yet. Probably later on today or tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for watching. Toodaloo. Say bye, Ashley. No, can you wave your other hand? I know you've got your shoe in your mouth. Can you wave?
Bye-bye.
Or just say bye-bye, that's fine. Bye.